Hey guys, we're in a beautiful neighborhood here in West Las Vegas, and it's a little bit breezy today, which is interesting because we're looking at this Specialized Creo SL Expert, and this thing is so lightweight, 28.8 pounds, like one of the lightest electric bikes I've ever tested.
Unbelievably light.
It's incredible. And the new SL Superlight motor system down there, I'm gonna get into the details later, but it's impressive. It's really impressive. I've looked at a couple other road electric bikes over the past couple years, and this one is my favorite. The motor is quite zippy. It's a speed-pedelec, so you're getting the 28 mile per hour top speed, which on a road bike, I mean, why not? You're all tucked down, you're aerodynamic. I love the setup here. I really, really love it. The price is one of those factors that you're gonna have to compromise on a little bit here. We brought one of the Creo SL Comp Carbons. This is actually the Evo model that has these flared drop bars and the knobby tires and a dropper seat post. Really cool, and they do make an Evo version for the Expert as well. We've just got the road version, which has these really efficient tires. So 700 by 28C versus 38C, so lower volume, a little bit skinnier. Awesome Roval carbon wheel set. That helps to reduce the weight a little bit. And, you know, we've just tossed some heavier platform pedals on here. So weighing this at 28.8 pounds, that's with the pedals. I want to be honest with you guys. There are a couple of trade-offs here. In addition to just the high price, with that deep dish wheel set on a windy day, you can feel that cross breeze and it can impact steering a little bit. You know, this doesn't have a true suspension fork, but they got this like Future Shock 2.0 right here. Really cool. It's adjustable, so you can actually adjust the compression and rebound. I found that the rebound only at like really the highest settings, it just sort of slows the rebound a little bit. Otherwise, it's just kind of bouncy, but not the same as like some of those stem suspension posts that I've seen. Like this is actually built right there. It's 20 millimeters of travel, and the idea is that you're not losing efficiency and speed from a suspension fork. And I'm not a pro here. For me, it's just really taking the edge off some of the bumpy stuff. Yesterday we were riding this out, actually up near these mountains. There's a big dam and stuff. We rode it on gravel, and it was impressive with the carbon fiber frame, carbon fork, and then in this case, you know, a little bit higher volume tires and stuff. You've got a pretty comfortable ride, and that was amazing for me to be on a road bike, like going at 28 miles per hour on gravel.
Indeed.
How did you feel, Charlie? You were on the Comp Carbon,
that's right,
like this version, but you didn't have that extra squishy tire stuff.
I mean, I'm used to that Como that's super comfortable with the suspension seat post.
Yeah.
And I wasn't bothered at all by the bumpy gravel. It really just felt very smooth.
I was impressed. I was like genuinely impressed. This is really going to be more of like a show and tell. There's not a lot to complain about, but I do want to get some of my complaints out of the way up front. I've already mentioned the price. It does come in 6 frame sizes, which is really nice. Only one colorway for the Expert, and it's this sort of like metallic dark blue, and then we've got the see-through carbon fiber on top, which is kind of organic looking. You can actually see a line down the middle, and then it sort of reflects depending on the angle of the sun. And I've seen a couple comments from people like, I wish they would have just kept it all the same color, because it shows some of the imperfections. I'm going to call it organic. And then we've got like the black. Actually, that's more of the carbon showing through down there. So yeah, pretty nice. The Di2 electronic shifting system is pretty sweet. You're not getting like cable stretch. It's very, very fast, but you do have to charge that independently from the e-bike battery. And you do that right here on the base of the right drop bar. Okay, so you need a special charger for that. Here it is over here. It's just one more thing that could get lost that you have to keep track of. A little bit annoying. It'd be nice if Shimano would design their stuff to run off the main battery pack. This is the standard charger for the rest of the bike, 1.9 pounds, 3 amps, so it's going to charge very quickly, 2.5 hours to charge the main battery. They rate it at 320 watt hours, and it's the same battery in both of these bikes in all the different levels. So, you know, kind of interesting. You say that's fairly low, and the motor is rated at 240 watts nominal and peak. They just give you a straight 240, but 35 newton meters of torque. And in my experience, that rating really doesn't do justice to the zippy, like speedy effect. It's very satisfying. It's very satisfying. How have you felt about it?
I mean, definitely it feels more than 35 newton meters, even though, I mean, I'll trust their bench stats on that.
Yeah.
I think it's part and parcel of that. It's a more efficient bike because you're in that forward riding position. Less of your energy is using used to push wind out of the way.
Sure.
So definitely a fast feeling
That's
bike.
right. You're like low to the ground. You're like
Yeah.
tucked in and everything. So I think you're right, Charlie. And then those slick wheels and everything. But even on this one, you really can get up to 28 miles per hour. And I shifted. You can maintain it. It's not like one of those bikes where you're really working, and when it cuts out, it fades out. So it's not like this wall that you're fighting and going like this. It's like it just kind of fades out and you're in that sweet spot.
Definitely, like you'll see a lot of the other competing systems from either
like the
Fazwa, where it's just a hard wall at 20, and then the Bosch, which has gotten better with the
Gen 4
stuff,
Yeah.
where it's smoother, but still nothing in the.
It's a lot heavier. Just to give you guys some idea, I think the Bosch motor Gen 4 speed is like 6.3 pounds. This is just over 4.3 pounds, or maybe it's just not 4.29 pounds for that motor system, the SL. And it's a new German company. It's like a proprietary design that they did with Specialized, so that's kind of cool. And then again, the battery pack, that weighs just about 4 pounds. It's inside the frame, but you can actually take that out if you're someone who just wants to ride this like a road bike, or maybe you're traveling and you want to ship the bike.
So yeah, your Specialized dealer should be the only one who takes it out, because it is a carbon frame, and you have to drop the motor out, pull the battery out, but it will run on just the battery extender on its own.
I'm glad you mentioned this. So this is the other really cool feature from Specialized. How much are these, Charlie?
So these are about 450 bucks.
450 bucks.
The cable is a little bit more, but
oh, 45 bucks for the cable. I forgot about that. Yeah, you have to buy the cable separately. And the idea is that, look at this. It's like a little water bottle. This is 2.3 pounds. It offers 160 watt hours, again, versus, what did we say?
320, 330 for the internal battery.
Yeah, and he's saying 320, 330, because I did the math on it. It's a 48 volt, and when you multiply that, you get like 331 point something like that. So it feels like Specialized has been really generous, both in how they rated the motor and the newton meters of torque, and then also the battery capacity. And I respect that. I mean, I think that's really cool. When you get on this, it's actually a pleasantly surprising. It's not like, oh, they said 60 newton meters and it feels like 40 or something like this. Well, anyway, I just wanted to give them some kudos. So yeah, you do have to pay a little bit extra for these bottle style batteries, but you could have multiple ones of these, and you could drop them off in different locations or have a support vehicle following you. And so they said, well, we don't want to have cable waste, and we want to keep the price as low as possible. So you do have to buy that cable separately. And there's this little locking knob on the side. So you would mount this in a Z cage, and that's why we've got this extra bike right here. Just kind of slide this in like this. Oops. And then there we go, down. And then the wire comes down on this side. And there is the charging port for the bike. That's also where the spare battery plugs in. So just kind of push this all the way down. Part of the reason I'm having trouble here is because we got the wrong style of Z cage. This one's right entry. We would want left entry. See how there's a ridge on the top of the bottle? That's designed to seat into that ridge right there. So again, you'll have a Specialized dealer, and that's one of the great things about this bike. It comes with a great warranty. You've got people who can do really professional fitting, and they can make sure you get all the right accessories so that you can use these range extenders effectively. But I want to call that out. It is like side specific. And then when you plug it in, there's this little locking slider thing that I talked about. So don't pull on it super hard. If it's not coming out, it might just be because you're locked in. So that's kind of how it looks. It doesn't protrude too much from the side. And again, I'm doing this one-handed. There we go, locked it in. And then that locking thing, I mean, it's pretty high tolerance, pretty stiff. Yeah, it's like, I think they want it to not rattle around a lot. And I think that's a good idea when you're going high speed. Now see this rubber band thing? If we pull this down a little ways, that's actually designed to sort of hold the bottle onto the bottle rack. Just like this. Yeah, it's like a big rubber band. Sorry guys, I'm kind of fumbling around because I'm filming with my other hand, but yeah, see, like that. So it's designed so it's not going to make a lot of noise. It's not going to rattle around a lot. These are really efficient solutions that keep weight low and give you a lot of flexibility. You can take this off pretty quickly as long as it's locked to the frame. Now, one of the other complaints that applies to all the Creo models is that charging port is right there near the left crank arm. And there's no kickstand on these bikes, it's a traditional road bike. So we're leaning them up, and we have had some issues with the wind today because of the deep dish rims. So if you're leaning this against a wall and it's plugged in and it's a stiffer connection and you trip over the cord, this bike could go down, and that would be such a bummer because it is so beautiful. I don't really want to call it delicate because I think they're well made, but you don't want to get a scratch or something on your $9,000 frame. So that's one of the trade-offs, and having it here versus up higher means you have to bend over. And it's on the non-drive side of the bike. Like, they really should have put this, if possible, on this side of the bike, even if it was there or low, because what you do when you have a bike like this is, you know, if you're not able to lean it up against something, you're supposed to put it down like this and protect the drivetrain, right? That's the derailleur and everything. This is all the sensitive stuff. So the fact that the charging port is on the other side of the frame feels like a missed opportunity to me.
Well, they did a lot of design and testing on this. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe it's the shortest cable length or possible.
Keeping it lightweight.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they really were hyper focused on making this lightweight.
But we're making excuses for them. I don't really know.
Yeah,
Maybe I should have asked, but there are other bikes these days that they're putting the charge ports up here, and, you know, like Charlie's saying, that means the cable has to go higher. You can see there's actually a port here, and that's for the dropper seat post that we have on this other bike. So I've really had a good time studying these bikes and looking at them and seeing how aero these things are. Like, look at that. You can see the carbon weave, and then that bottom spacer. It's kind of a plastic going right up into that future shock. There's just so much to appreciate about these things. I wanted to get your help talking about the component and sort of the group set upgrades, because we're using Ultegra. Tell me about that drivetrain and electronic shifting, Charlie.
So the Ultegra, the Di2 Ultegra to XT is really the go-to for you know, the roadie clients. We want something that's going to be really crisp, precise shifting, so when you're out there on a performance ride, you know you're going to nail your shifts. And
to be honest with you, we did have a little bit of, it might just be because this is a demo bike and you get cable stretch over time, but there were a couple of times where I was trying to shift gears and it wasn't quite in the right gear. Whereas with the electronic shifting, you're not getting that cable stretch and it's just super fast and crisp. However, with these paddle shifters, see, they're just like buttons. Okay, so when I do that, you can see it moving back there. The thing is, you don't have multi-shift. So on the mechanical ones, I was able to push in and it's like click, click, click. I get 3 steps. On this one, I have to go click, click, click. It's not a huge deal. It's just something I noticed, and I've kind of gotten used to the mechanical shifters versus electronic. And then coming back to Ultegra, really lightweight. These are paddle shifters, and they actually have the shifting mechanism on this side. It's just not wired in because it's a 1x drivetrain, which is the way most e-bikes are going. This drive system, I don't think it has shift detection or anything, but it does have a multi-sensor, so it's measuring your rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and pedal torque. It's very responsive and smooth. You know, when you're in the highest level of assist, if you're just pedaling and you're not applying pressure, that motor, it might come on a little bit occasionally because it wants to go and there's a little bit of a step on. But once it's going, the more power that you apply through your legs, the more power that it's going to apply. I think it's up to like 180% like feedback.
180% assistance. That's the multiplication of your effort that you're putting in.
Which, when you think about it, I mean, that's almost 2x. And this is a 240 watt motor, and so, you know, a traditional cyclist might be in the 160 to 200 watt output. Exactly. And this is like pro level guys. The guys we were meeting at Specialized event the other day, they were like, yeah, I can do 250 if I'm really working it
continuously.
But
they can peak at 700. I'm go crazy stuff like,
wow. And that's standing up and putting like all your energy into it. Okay, so, you know, just to be, what I'm trying to say here is this is like more than double your personal power, and you know, you really feel it, especially with that drivetrain. You can shift gears 11 to 42 tooth cassette back there, 11 sprockets. It's shifting really smoothly. I'm not getting any mashing when I'm shifting. Have you? Because I haven't really eased off.
I mean, it's definitely noticeably crisper than the comp level, where there was a little bit more crunchiness. And I think by virtue of the fact you can only do one gear at a time, it keeps you honest in terms of not mashing up your gears.
Yeah, and SRAM has moved to that setup with a lot of like the mountain bike drivetrains, where they limit you, even like the non-electric shifting ones, they make you click one time through each gear, because people like me probably dumping like a whole bunch of gears at once, and then you're bending the teeth and you're breaking the chain. It's really neat to see a narrow wide chain ring up here though, because we're getting great retention. It's not bouncing off, that kind of thing. And then of course, with high speed comes the necessity for good braking. So back to these like paddle shifters, these are also your 4-finger brake levers. We've got Shimano Ultegra dual piston, hydraulic disc brakes, 160 millimeter rotors, front and rear. And these things are ICE-Tech, so you can see they have stainless steel outer, and then there's actually a layer of aluminum alloy and kind of a fan design that directs air onto that aluminum alloy support as well. So it's really drawing heat away. It's making it easy for the heat to dissipate inwards and then completely cool, which is really nice, because again, high speed bike, it's not the heaviest bike in the world, but the rider still might be heavy, and when you're going fast, you want that. I guess they could have gone with like 180 millimeter, but then you start to get bending that happens, you're adding more weight. So I don't know, this seems like the best they could do at this size.
I mean, we've been going pretty fast. We've been going 30 plus
more
miles
than
an
30
hour,
yeah, exactly.
and I never saw any kind of problems with the braking, so it's pretty outstanding on the braking side.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Thank you for leaning the bike over, Charlie, because the other aspect here that I want to call out is, do you notice that this has these kind of the quick release threaded axles here? These are both 12 millimeter through axles, so they're extra stiff and sturdy, and they went with boost hub spacing on a road bike. So instead of 100 millimeters, this is 110, and in the back, instead of 135 or 142, we're at 148. So phenomenal. It gives you a sturdier spoke bracing angle. The wheels aren't going to flex as much. They're not going to go out of true, and we've only got 24 holes on these rims, so it's not like a 32 or higher. So this is back to weight savings, and I think it gives you some comfort too, so a little bit of flex in those spokes. And then also look at this, you got like a threaded eyelet here and then a hole. That's so you could add fenders or a rack, but you would need to get a different, this is like a binder right here for your seat tube, holding onto the 27.2 millimeter seat post. You could go with like a Connect, sort of the suspension seat post if you wanted to. They have a carbon fiber one.
The cobble gobbler, they call it, with the carbon fiber spring, is going to save you a little weight.
Now that's specialized. They still sell them. I saw it on the website, and it's sort of it's more static. There's not a lot of adjustability, but it's more of the minimalist, lightweight design. And
you're also losing less energy on the Connect, which I love. You are losing a bit of energy every time it bounces. And also for people that are doing precise fit for either pain-free riding or for performance, you are changing the geometry.
Good point. Very fair. Yeah, this is the thing. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. You're bringing some really expert perspectives on this. And I think the other piece is you can add a fender up front. They also have, see, there's a little hole down there, and then the threaded eyelet right there. And of course, 2 bottle cage bosses. I mean, that's easy to overlook, but that's something that a lot of other electric bikes don't have. And you know, you need some fluids or that extra battery. I suppose you could even have 2 of those batteries and then like just swap position if you wanted to. The one thing that we don't have to show you here today is the specialized mission control smartphone app. It's pretty sweet. It allows you to dial in the 3 levels of assist and sort of optimize them a little bit more, so it's not just low, medium, high. You can kind of do some subtle adjustments and optimize your range on this. We're estimating 35 to 75 mile range with just the stock battery in the bike, that 320 watt hour one. But it really depends on your tire pressure, the wind, you know, how hard you're working, all these different things. What else can you do with the mission control app, Charlie?
So you can use the smart control feature, which will actually budget your power if you want to choose the length of your ride or the distance, and it will automatically budget how much power your motor.
So you get home safely.
Exactly.
Okay, and you can chart your rides and you track yourself and everything. And you were about to tell us this is called like the TCU. Yeah, and that's Turbo Connect unit.
That's right.
Power button right here. Turn on the bike. We got 10 bars that indicate how full the battery is, and that's nice. 10% increments versus 20% with 5 bars on a lot of other bikes. And then we have 1, 2, 3. So 3 is the highest level of assist. 1, 2, and that's it. That's all you've got here. I love that they've moved it to the top tube. Some of the older turbo models had it here on the down tube. It was harder to reach. You'll notice that there are these LED lights, and right now it looks pretty dim because we're in bright lighting. But what else can you do with that?
So on that app, you can, if you really want to have the haters not see that you're on an e-bike, you can go completely stealth and have that blacked out.
That's fantastic. And then Charlie was about to talk about, this is the TCU. They have the TCD, Turbo Connect display. It's like an LCD unit.
It's LCD. It's got a, it's full feature display. So if you want, if you want to see your miles per hour or your range, distance, all those things you can see. You also can hook it up. One of the key things they have here is a torque sensor that will actually give your power output that you're putting out. You talked earlier about how the riders put out a certain amount of power, especially since this is more fitness focused. Being able to read your power output and keep an understanding of how much level you want it to maintain.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, that's a big deal. And they have the Ant Plus wireless, so if you have a heart rate monitor or something, it can track that. Again, really nice drive system here, and they've integrated the magnet like rear wheel speed sensor really tightly. There it is right there on that little disc, and it passes. It's so clean, like everything is internally routed here versus having a spoke mounted magnet and then a little sensor here. So everything's getting a lot more, it's a lot smaller, it's lighter, it's giving you tons of feedback. That TCU would be really compact. You can imagine if you had your phone here. Unfortunately, you can't do like the stem cap phone mounts here because you've got this,
that's right,
you know, suspension element, which is like, so maybe you do it up here.
With the road portion, you do want to be a little more forward focused, because if you had your phone back here, it's not quite ideal.
Plus your goodie box.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be covering up this. You're right. There's usually like a clamp here and it curves, and then there's a circle mount there. So there's lots of options to make it happen, but there's no USB charging port to draw from that main battery. And again, maybe that makes sense because it's not super high capacity. It's all about trade-offs, lightweight, but wanting good performance. And I think Specialized has just nailed it. I mean, this, honestly, this is the best thing I've ridden. Like, it's so much fun, and I am a sporty rider, and I get on this thing and I just have a blast.
Yeah, normally on a pure road bike like this, they wouldn't have any allowance for any kind of rack in the back, because it would be, you know, an insult to the purists that they'd never have a rack. Allowing for that here is a huge difference, but they're doing it in such a classy way with these hidden mounts for that stuff. You'd have to change this out to a specialty color.
And this is hard to find. This is 30.8 millimeters. And I went on Amazon, I was looking, and they're all 31.8. So I don't know, you need a shim or something?
Specialized sells this as an accessory.
Of course. It's all Specialized stuff.
But also in the commuter vein, the under here, and this is something your dealer would do for you, you can actually hook in lights.
Oh.
So if you wanted to have lights, if you wanted to make this a real commuter, you know, to basically, we're talking about a lot of money, so having it strictly as a sport performance bike, maybe you want to serve a few different masters. You know, you want to have it. Yeah.
Your one bike. And by the way, another trade-off with these bikes is, since the battery really isn't removable without some help from the dealer, it means you might want to store the bike somewhere that's cool and dry. Everything here is IP67 rated, so the display, the battery, the motor, which is great. However, extreme heat can still damage those lithium-ion cells. They're going to limit your overall range. You can get a replacement main battery, though. You can get those little range extender batteries. So this thing seems pretty durable, and like it's gonna age well.
It is. I mean, a replacement battery with the current size is about $700.
Oh wow!
It's likely that the batteries are only going to get bigger in capacity as time goes on. So later on, you may, you know, it may not be that you wear your battery out, because that's going to take 30,000 miles to wear out.
Yeah.
But you may want to replace it because you're going to have another
higher capacity. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. And the weight thing is really interesting. I feel like they're using 2,700 milliamp cells. These days they have like up to 3,400 milliamp cells, so you could actually use the same space and relatively close weight, and then raise the capacity on that from 320 to maybe 500 someday. This is all speculation, folks. It's just kind of fun to geek out about. Let's see. I feel like is anything else that's coming to mind, man? This is really fun. We're going really deep.
I mean, gosh, those are the big things. That is kind of annoying that Shimano has made the decision not to open their system to be able to charge from the main battery.
Yeah.
That is a little bit of a nitpick.
You might get stuck in the same gear, limping
home.
Well,
it's I don't know if it gives some kind of beeping or anything, or display when it's running low on.
We couldn't find this, you guys. We were like looking all over, because this one actually was, and by the way, who should we thank? Who's the dealer that loaned this to us today?
So this is Las Vegas Cyclery. They were great.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for they've been hosting this.
We're all working together. Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun meeting other people from the shops. I try to get around to the different shops. The idea is just to, you know, get the word out and sort of an honest look at the bikes. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
That's why I work with Charlie here. This is a good job. Yeah, and the 6 frame sizes is such a big deal, because when you are on a high performance machine and you're pedaling fast, which again, up to, and it feels like even more than 120 RPM support on that motor. So it's not like you're going to be outpaced. Sometimes I'll be pedaling towards a hill and I'll downshift and I'll uptick my pedal rate so that I'm not having to use the strong muscles. I want to keep the cardio. And then when I do that on some e-bike motors and they drop out, then I have to downshift, and then I have to downshift again, and it's such a bummer. So this motor, just how smooth it fades out, it doesn't drop, and it supports you. It almost feels like it supports you above 28 miles per hour.
Well, I think we were going to over 28. On the flats, I think you probably could. You know, we definitely riding a lot of e-bikes. We really know that 28.
Yeah.
Or remember, it was 27.5.
Yeah,
and then,
it was always like little less than 28. And come on, again, I don't mean to be too much of a hater, but Shimano, they have a drive system and they don't even make a speed-pedelec. So kudos to Specialized. They were the first ones to be like, we're taking it all the way, baby. And that's a big thing in the States, especially in North America. In Europe, you know, it's like a whole nother licensing system and everything. It's kind of unfortunate. So I do appreciate that. And with the high speed, you have the strong frame and you have the thru-axles and everything like that. So at this point, I think we're just kind of geeking out. Maybe we should get on this. Another thing to mention though is they have a Y splitter option for the charger, so you can charge the bike and your spare battery simultaneously. So they've thought of all this stuff. There's a lot of really great accessories, and it's just a blast. This bike's great. Okay guys, I'm gonna do a little ride around the park here. I wanna call out the nice titanium rails on that saddle, lightweight, and then down there we've actually got the one-way clutch on the derailleur, so you can tick it into the up position, and it's gonna give you some tightness for that chain. It won't be bouncing around as much, which is great for a speed pedelec like this. If you put it in the down position, it makes it easier to service the rear wheel. And again, having like the kind of quick release system on both of these is great. I'm in turbo level of assist, and I'm just gonna zip around. So you can definitely hear the motor, especially at those higher RPMs, but I guess I'd rather hear it a little bit and be able to climb. So I'm coming to a stop here. I'm on a bit of an incline. Yep, very effective. Just do some shifting. A little bit of no hands, very stable, but I do want to be careful with that crosswind situation. Those deep dish rims catch the wind and send you tumbling. Okay guys, from here you can see the 46 tooth aluminum alloy chainring, narrow wide tooth pattern, so we're not going to drop that chain. Love that the cranks come in everything from 165 to 175 depending on the frame size, so you don't get those pedal strikes when you're turning. We've got flats on, and you can see there are some marks from turning with the pedal down, so keep that in mind if you get some platform pedals like that instead of clip-ins. In the rear here, 11 to 42 tooth spread, 11 sprockets, Ultegra, really lightweight, and then Shimano Dior XT derailleur Shadow Plus. It's really tucked in line with the frame, and then we've got that one-way clutch. It's a nice setup, and I love that they've got this extra long rubber slap guard just to protect the beautiful carbon frame. I'm going to pedal along. I'm going to start off with no assist because these bikes are, pretty enjoyable to pedal around. 28 pounds on this thing, with the pedals, by the way, when we measured this. So you can totally ride this like a regular bike. You can even take out that roughly 4-pound battery from inside the frame and just use that bottle for a really lightweight ride if you're gonna fly this around on a plane or something like that. So many options. Taking it up to turbo. Just awesome. Really high RPM matching. very smooth, really nice transition from offering assistance to fading out when you get to the higher RPM pedal strokes, or if you top that roughly 28 mile per hour top speed. It's nice that it just eases out instead of dropping you. It's a lot more seamless. Now I'm gonna get some speed and try to show you that Future Shock 2.0 going off-road and just how much it really does. And if you take it all the way to the right, got that really slow rebound right there. Take it to the left, it's a lot more bouncy. So maybe I kind of take it into the middle a little bit, do some riding. But I can't dump a bunch of gears like I could with the mechanical shifter. Just one click at a time. Hopefully Charlie made that yellow. It's got a surprising amount of torque and power to climb, especially if you shift the gears appropriately. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
They climb pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you downshift and it's actually got a good amount of torque.
You want to try it next to each other?
Yeah, sure. Go a little bit further here, up this street. Go for it. Just swap out with me here.
Yeah. The tires too.
Yeah. Going from these treaded tires to those slicks.
Oh yeah. This is so much fun.
Oh, that's a nice park right there.
I think we got it.
Beautiful. Let's check this out. You can hear the motor a little bit, but not as much as you'd think. Someone rides by. Cool.
Got to shift gears on that one.
You got a downshift, yeah.
I'm gonna call out my favorite for sure, the regular road version over the Evo.
Yeah?
Just and the expert over the comp.
So we're finishing up our ride back at the hotel and we were just chatting amongst ourselves, and one of the things that came up was just that feeling, especially with the road bike. I remember the first time I rode, it was like a Specialized tarmac expert, non-electric bike. And I'm a pretty fit rider. I was even more fit then, and I was just like, race car. I mean, it's so fun. It only lasts for a little while because you max out your body. With this bike, it feels like that fun, zippy feeling just like constantly. And I only weigh 135 pounds, but what is it like for you, Charlie?
You know, it's much more satisfying than being on a regular bike, regular road bike, because you just feel much more limited. And I think the profile of how it delivers the power, we've both ridden a lot of e-bikes.
Yeah.
And over the years, they've gotten better and better. This is the smoothest one in terms of the power transfer. Like, you don't really a lot of times they can be surgy or binary on a lot of systems, and this one just really smooths it out, so you don't even feel like you're on an e-bike.
Well, I'll put some names to that comment, because I agree with you. Like the older Bosch Gen 3, it was like you feel it. It was like it's on, it's taking me for a ride, which in some ways is satisfying when you have a 60-pound bike. But these are lighter, this is smoother, and Bosch Gen 4 is a lot smoother now, but it's still, it's almost like you're along for the ride sometimes.
It's noticeable is what it is. That this blends into, you know, you can almost have a fantasy that you are Peter Sagan.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It feels like you're doing the heavy lifting.
You're in a pro rider level. I mean, it's not going to, you still would have to put a lot of effort to feel quite as fast as they are, but at least you can aspire to it on this.
For sure. And you know, this is not trying to be a commercial or anything like that. I mean, it's just meant to, like, that's really how I feel. And, you know, we can relate. So
they do use these on their off days. So on the Tour de France, when they are trying to do a little recovery day. Because if they don't ride every day, their muscles start to seize up and they can't ride. So, but they don't, they want to reserve as much energy as they can for the next day.
I see.
And they use the Creos to have their easy day ride.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Are you sure they don't use them in the Tour de France
well,
as well?
They did. That may be a reason why they're doing so well.
Maybe in past years. I've heard that, pro riders will use e-bikes for recovery, because it's like you break down the muscle one day, but you need to keep your cardio up the next day.
That's right.
And you really do. I mean, you can get winded on these bikes. It's a blast. It's also a really good platform. You were mentioning all the racks and stuff earlier, but there's also, I think it's like the brake lever option where you can put, you can have brakes right here for the flat section of bar.
So more to that commuter or more all-rounder trail bike. With the GRX levers, you can have inline, so you could have inline 2-finger bar-mounted levers.
That's sweet.
So you'd have more useful positions for different types of terrain or street riding or whatever you want to do.
Wow. And that's so cool, because these are hydraulic brakes. So I've seen inline with like mechanical, but yeah, just wonderful. And a lot of what I'm saying here, a lot of the comments apply to like the Comp Carbon. You know, it's 1 pound heavier, and it doesn't have like quite as crisp of shifting and the wheels and all that, but it's still a very satisfying bike. So if you can't, I mean, $6,000, $9,000, I mean, this is
and they will have a $5,000 aluminum version coming out this spring. So if you're trying to get there, but you don't quite have the dosh to make the big purchase, this is a good way to go.
Awesome.
The aluminum.
You'll sacrifice a little comfort, but
a little comfort. It's going to probably be, I'm going to guess, 1 pound or 2 heavier. But you know, you have to make a lot of money to get your $9,000 bike. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, again, this has been just phenomenal, Charlie. I really appreciate the time we spent. Again, this is Charlie from Electricity Bikes in Washington, D.C. I had a blast last year reviewing all the other models with you. For the full written review on this one, including all the specs that we measured it all by hand, I got some help from him. That's back at the website, and there's a really good comparison tool, so you could compare the Comp Carbon to the Expert to some of the other electric road bikes I've covered and will be covering in the future. Have fun out there, you guys. Love ya. Ride safe. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.